What's up, everyone? Just watching the press conference whenever they decide to start. Nothing like being late to your own party. How's everyone doing this evening or afternoon or whatever time it is? I got people watching from Europe and America. Come on. You gotta love press briefings. They're never on time. Never, ever on time. Anybody Topo Chico fans? What I would do for a Topo Chico sponsor. Alright, I'll be back. I'm just gonna keep waiting for this to start. Thanks for waiting. Alright, looks like we're starting to get started. Or at least they're moving. Why would they cut the camera if they're not going to come out? Just this guy. My man over here. He's bored. He's like, I can't believe they made me come out here already. Oh, what's this? A little music. The signing guy should be signing. There's nothing going on right now. I don't know why they brought me out here. Can we talk about the suit tie combo? Not a big fan. Not a big fan, guy. He's getting ready. He's nervous. He smiled a little bit. He's feeling good. Give it up for the ESL guy. ASL. How are you? That's what he should be doing. How are you? Good. Good. Me too. Me too. Goodness. Hey, sit down. Find a seat. Find a seat. Sit down. Did we go? Just sit down, right there. Sit down right there. Thank you. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, just one update for all of you at the top. President is obviously quite focused on the American Jobs Plan that he just announced last week. As you all know, he's already had 2 bipartisan congressional meetings on infrastructure in the Oval Office, and he plans to continue speaking with leaders from both sides of the aisle to get their input, either on the phone this week or when they return. He looks forward to welcoming members to the Oval Office again. And this work is being supported, of course, by the Jobs Cabinet. Many of you may have seen members of the Jobs Cabinet out over the weekend speaking on your airwaves directly to the American people. And the Jobs Cabinet members have also been active and engaging with members of Congress on both sides of the aisle, and they will continue to play that role over the course of the coming weeks and months. So Jobs Cabinet members to date have made 56 calls to the 28 Democrats and 28 Republicans who are the chairs and ranking members on relevant committees. We've held briefings with the entire House and Senate invited. The House briefing had 124 representatives on, including 31 Republicans. Senior White House officials have briefed bipartisan working groups in both chambers, including
Sometimes I wish they would
20
start with
senators
questions.
and the Problem Solvers Caucus. And as I noted, the President looks forward to welcoming members when they return next week. With that, Alex, go ahead.
Great, thanks.
All right.
A couple of questions on the infrastructure and jobs plan, and one on immigration.
Okay.
To start, the jobs plan has been receiving opposition from both the left and the right. On the right this weekend, Senator Roy Blunt said that it would be an easy bipartisan win if the bill were more narrowly focused. So why not reduce the bill down to just infrastructure and take out planks like the care workers and the electric vehicle aspects? And then in addition to that, on the left,
And
Senator
that's
Joe
the
Manchin
kicker.
said today that he can't support a 28% tax increase on corporations. So is the White House open to lowering that? He said the highest he would support is 25%.
Well, first, on the infrastructure question, let me say that some Republicans who have been vocal think investing in water systems and replacing pipes so Americans can have clean drinking water is not infrastructure, but the president does. Some don't think
Okay.
investing in high-speed rail is infrastructure. The president
Exactly.
does. Some believe building
No.
charging stations to support America's electric vehicle future is not infrastructure. He believes it is. Some don't believe that America's broadband capacity, which is 1/3 of the American people, I should say, don't have access to broadband.
Thanks
and
for not
improving those
asking-
lines and
answering the
expanding
question,
that
Jen.
Access is not infrastructure. The president does. Some believe that addressing the issue of America's supply chain so that we're never again at the mercy of China or any other nation is not investing in infrastructure. The president disagrees. Some don't believe that rebuilding schools so that they're safe and asbestos-free is investing in infrastructure. The president disagrees. And finally, some don't think that building a support system to take care of elderly parents or kids with disabilities at home so people can go back into the workforce. Some of those 2 million women who have left the workforce during the pandemic, some think that that is not investing in the infrastructure, our workforce of this country that are the backbone of this country.
Answer the question, Jen.
Disagrees. But with all that being said, he welcomes their ideas, hopes they put them forward, and he looks forward to having conversations with members of both parties about how to address the long outdated effort.
You didn't answer the
update
question,
our
Jen.
infrastructure.
Jen, you didn't answer the question.
Is the White House open to reducing the corporate tax rate?
There's the
Well,
question.
first, the president felt it was responsible to propose a way to pay for his proposal. That's exactly what he did. He knows some members think it's too big, some think it's too small. Frankly, there
Justin.
have been folks who have come out on both sides.
Yeah.
Which we fully
Justin,
expected.
here's the
He knows
here's
that
the
some will come
filibuster
forward
right
with
here.
Different ways to pay for this package.
Ready?
And some may have views that it shouldn't be paid for at all.
Filibuster.
So we fully expect that from Senator Manchin and other members, and we expect the question of how to pay for the package, if we should pay for the package, to be part of the discussion moving forward.
The White House is open to that conversation.
We're open to hearing ideas and proposals from members, and we encourage them to put them forward.
And then on immigration, We released a poll earlier today that suggests that 25% of Americans, only 25%, approve of the way that the president is handling the situation at the border with respect to unaccompanied minors. So
Uh-oh, here we go.
does this poll suggest
Good
that
luck,
the
Jen, with
president
this
needs to
question.
Evaluate his approach to that issue?
Well, if I read the poll correctly, it also had 59% of Americans believing that unaccompanied children should be treated safely and be protected in that way. And
Yeah,
65%
who doesn't agree with that?
supported the reunification of families. There's no question this is a difficult challenge, and the president believes he was
Do you believe
elected
children
to
should
address
be
hard
safer?
problems. And his focus right now is on expediting processing at the border, opening up additional facilities, addressing the root causes, and restarting programs to incentivize kids from applying from within their countries. So that's his focus right now.
Is the issue just a messaging issue then? I mean, how do you explain the fact that Americans are not in favor of what the president is doing at the border?
I'm not sure that's an accurate depiction of the poll, given that there was about 1/3 of the people who replied didn't have an opinion at all. So
40% said that they did not approve though.
fair, but also 1/3 said they had no view. So I think that right now our focus is not on looking at the poll. It is on implementing solutions, which is no question to address what we view as no question a difficult challenge, and hoping that we can ensure we are protecting these kids. We are continuing to reassert to the region. The border is not open. The majority of people, of adults who come to the border, are turned away. Continuing to implement programs in the region, whether it's working with them to address root causes or working with them to restart programs that can help kids from apply within country, that we feel those are the ways we can help address what is no question a challenging issue. Go ahead.
Thanks. First, I want to ask about the budget. What's the holdup on releasing it?
We expect it to be soon. It's not the full budget, as you know, but just for clarity purposes, it's a kind of discretionary guidance. But we
Exactly.
hope it to be soon-
They won't
that
tell you
it'll
the
be
whole thing.
soon. We expect it to be very soon. I don't have a
It'll be
timeline on
in
that
due
quite yet.
time.
Every previous White House has released at least a budget blueprint or an outline, abbreviated budget, by the end of February. So what's the holdup here? Why is the delay now stretching into April?
Well,
Because
there's no
they're trying to
question, as we
appease
talked about
everyone.
during the transition, that we dealt with some impactful intransigence from the outgoing political appointees. We had some cooperation.
Oh,
with
it's
the
Trump's
staff. We didn't
fault.
have
Oh
all of the
my God.
information that we needed. As you all know, we also don't have a budget
Who
director.
believes
we have
that
not had
crap?
a budget director confirmed. We have now an acting budget director, which is an important step forward. But again,
Trump
we
is
expect
the
it to be,
reason we couldn't get
soon,
this
and,
out sooner.
As soon as we have a timeline, we will.
Him and
make
his
sure you will.
staff and his
You have a
administration.
question about Major League Baseball. The
Okay.
league decided to move its
Okay.
All-Star game out of Atlanta. That's something that the president said he supported before. Does he then agree with their decision to move that game out of Atlanta?
Of course he does. He already said he did.
Well, I wish I had this with me on Friday, because I got asked a question, and there's just some help, what I thought would be helpful context, and I know you probably don't have the transcript in front of you. So when the president was asked during an ESPN interview last week, he was asked the question, last week, Major League Baseball Players Association executive director said that he would look forward to discussing moving the All-Star game from Atlanta in the wake of Georgia's governor signing into law a bill passed by the Republican-led state legislature to overhaul how its state elections are run. How do you view this possibility of moving the All-Star game out of Georgia? And he said, quote, "I think today's professional athletes are acting incredibly responsible. I would strongly support them doing that." So he was not dictating for what Major League Baseball should do, that they should dictating.
Oh
they should move
my
the All-Star game.
gosh.
That was their decision. They made that decision, and as he stated earlier, he certainly
Oh,
supports
stop it, Jen.
Support the decision.
that. Well, he supports them being able to make the decision and respond to what their players' asks
Sure.
are, given many of them are impacted, of course,
Sure,
by
Jen.
these laws.
Okay,
Sure.
and then just one more on vaccines. So there's a report over the weekend that Governor DeSantis in Florida had been dealing with some sort of improper dealings with the supermarket chain Publix as far as
Publix, great
distributing the
subs.
vaccine. So did those reports give the White House any pause in working with Governor DeSantis in the vaccine program?
Well, first let me say that for those who weren't following this in Florida, one of the concerns we've had as we've watched the data is that 17% of Florida's population is African American, but less than 7% of vaccinations have gone to African Americans. in the state.
Because they don't want it?
That's one of the reasons that we opened 4 FEMA
It must be a
sites in
racist thing.
Miami,
It can't be
Tampa,
that
Jacksonville, and Orlando.
African
And these
American
sites
people just don't want it.
disproportionately serve communities of color. So we've been closely watching this data and these statistics as we would
has to
in
be
any
a
state
racist
across the
government
country,
doing it.
and we took these specific actions for that purpose. We are not going to hurt the people of Florida just because of the steps or actions of leadership, and we will continue to take actions to ensure that the vaccine is equitably distributed.
Equitably.
Just to follow up on the
God, that's so
baseball
racist.
All-Star game, I know that you made the point that he did not dictate the league move the All-Star game out of Georgia, but he likes to say the words of a president matter. He said he would strongly support if players in the league wanted to do that, and they did it. So does he think that the PGA should move the Masters tournament that begins this week out of Georgia?
I'm not here to call for anyone on behalf of the president or the vice president or anyone to take steps in reaction to the law in Georgia. The president was asked a direct question, and the context of the question was also around the league meeting to discuss this exact issue, and he answered the question.
So then should we believe that if PGA Tour players who are arriving in Augusta this week or today to register for the tournament, if they got
like
together
this.
and decided or talked about not participating, that is something he would strongly support? Or is there a difference between
I'm sure you will ask me that question or him this question, but our focus is on doing what we can to advocate for making voting easier and more accessible around the country. And that's where our efforts are going to be from the White House.
Before the president said that he would strongly support moving the All-Star game out of Georgia, did he consider the economic impact? Because the Cobb County tourism CEO is saying they're going to lose $100 million in lost business activity.
Hey,
8,000
losing money
hotels.
doesn't matter if
Think
you're-
about that before
if you're
he
politically
said he would strongly support the
charged.
move?
Again, he was doing an
People
interview. He
aren't
was given the context
for
as I
it.
just read out to you in full detail of how the question was
As long as
asked.
it pushes my
He answered the
agenda, I
question.
don't care what
Okay, on
business goes down.
immigration, 171,000 migrants were caught at the border in March. That's up from 100,000 in February. If the trend
171,000?
continues, do you have a sense of how many migrants the United States can handle?
That's
this-
nuts.
Well, first let me say that there have been numbers that have been reported out there. CBP has
Okay,
not
here we
released
go.
their final numbers. We expect that to happen later this week. And for full
Sure.
context, there are numbers that when they release them will be out, like you cited, some version of what you cited. But those are reflecting of people coming, and we should also be reflecting, and I hope I'm encouraging people to do this, people who are turned away. Because again, single adults, based on your own reporting and everyone's reporting, the vast majority continue to be turned away at the border. I don't have any predictions about numbers that will come. We're obviously taking steps, as I addressed in response to Alex's question, to address the root causes, put in place programs that people can utilize to apply from in country, send a clear message the border is not open and that we're turning away the majority of adults when they come to the border.
There is a separate report that, speaking about the adults, there are 1,000 gotaways, mostly in Arizona, people who are seen, detected, but they're not chased because authorities are so busy processing the families. The Washington Post is reporting that some of these people are carrying drugs. Has the administration maybe reached out to Mexico to try to stop?
Yeah, if
the
you're a
flow
drug
of
cartel,
drugs
this is
or
the
help stop the
perfect
flow of
time to
drugs into American
get that
communities?
going.
That's always a part of our diplomatic conversations, certainly through the State Department and other entities within the government.
Entities.
I'm happy to check on that specific reporting. I had not seen that report since before I came out here. Great. Go ahead, Kelly.
In clarifying today, are you trying to roll back what the president said about the All-Star game?
No,
Of course
I'm
she
trying
is.
to articulate clearly to everyone what he said and what the context of his remarks were.
Yeah.
The question that was asked.
All
and
10
the
of
full
you
scope of his
heard
answer.
wrong.
And
I
think
heard
it's been
right.
shorthanded to no one's fault because it's been repeated a bit without the full context.
And Mitch McConnell says that
Oh.
we are witnessing a
You know a little
coordinated
better
campaign
than
by
that, right?
powerful and wealthy people to mislead and to use the bully pulpit about this law. Will the White House say explicitly that it is not trying to influence corporations or organizations to take action on state level decisions like this?
We've conveyed it, and I'm happy to answer your question directly.
She won't
We've
answer that
not,
question.
Not asked corporations to take specific actions. That's not
Right.
our focus here. Our focus is on and continuing to convey that it's important that voting is easier, not harder. That when there are laws in place that make it harder, we certainly express an opposition
What's so
to
hard?
those
I have an
laws.
ID.
Couple of foreign policy
Nothing hard about
questions.
that.
It's now April 5th. The Afghanistan decision is due soon.
There
Obviously,
we go.
troops and their families are interested to know what the president's decision will be. What more
Will
does
you
he
keep
need
fighting?
before he can make or announce this decision?
Well, as the president has said before,
Siri.
it will be tough to meet the May 1st deadline for a full withdrawal for logistical reasons. He's continuing to consult internally with his national security team and advisors, and
For
of course also
logistical.
with our partners and allies. And, he's been working on these issues, foreign policy issues, national security issues for several decades now, and of course wants to take the time to make the right decision.
So our expectation
Plus,
should be
he
that it'll
loves
go
a
beyond
good
May
war.
1st with the tough to meet portion of your answer.
He set the expectation it will be tough for a full withdrawal for logistical reasons by that timeline. And that certainly has also something that we've conveyed clearly to our partners as well. But in terms of what's next, he just wants to take the time to make a decision.
What's the president's
Yeah.
level of concern about what's happening in Jordan? Long an important country, an ally, and a buffer against some of the hotter events in that part of the world. Is this something where he would have any direct interaction at this point?
I would expect it would be through the State Department and wouldn't expect that. We're, of course, closely following the reports out of Jordan. We've been in touch as an administration with Jordanian officials. King Abdullah is a key partner of the United States. He has our full support. Go ahead.
So on Ukraine, we talked about this on Friday, but the State Department has now asked Russia to explain these provocations.
Ooh.
Does the president
That's a
have
good
any
question.
plans to reach out to President Putin?
Oh, love your math.
Elevated to that level of concern.
I don't have any calls with President Putin to predict at this point in time. Of
course you
Last
don't.
week, it was read out that that our Secretary of State had a conversation with his counterpart. Also, the Secretary of Defense had a conversation with his counterpart. We remain concerned by the recent escalations of Russian aggression and provocative actions in eastern
Russian
Ukraine.
aggression.
That's something we're watching closely. Of course, we're aware of the Ukrainian military reports concerning Russian troop movements on Ukraine's border. But at this point, we've been in touch at the Secretary of State and Secretary of Defense level, which is pretty high, as we all know. But I don't have any calls from the president to predict for you.
And just one more.
And he, of course, spoke with the president of Ukraine on Friday as well. So
That's right, yeah.
about this specific issue.
That's right, yeah.
So
You're doing a
on
great
the,
job, Jen.
On the tax front, I understand that you're, not willing to sort of close in on a specific number that you might agree with Joe Manchin. But have you done a detailed analysis of what the delta would be, say if you agreed to 25%? How much less income revenue would that distribute? Are you doing that kind of in a detailed analysis in preparation for these negotiations?
Are you doing math?
Well, I mean, first I think it's important to remind people that the corporate
you
tax rate
understanding?
we're proposing is lower than it was in 2017. In fact, it's lower than it was from World War II until 2017. So we are still proposing a rate that is lower than it has been for the vast majority of time since anyone in this room was alive, I think, or around that amount of time. So
What about Trump's
that's our
era?
proposal. Of course, what the president proposed, raising it to 28%, and combined
Oops.
with the other tax proposals, would pay for the totality of the package. That's why he felt it was a responsible proposal to make. Sorry, this person was throwing me off outside for a second, but everything's fine. That he felt it was responsible to make. There will be different ideas for pay-fors, right? There will be different ideas for tax proposals. That will all need to be weighed by a range of questions with Congress and with leaders in Congress
right.
and
I gotta
outspoken members
go.
in Congress about
This has
whether
been
it should be paid
fun.
for